old guard unions, specifically NUM, WASA and Solidarity, they've had the run of the land for a long time. They have basically got agreements that protect them and secure their collective bargaining, and they've historically represented the majority of the employees in their bargaining units. So they have become, I think, a little bit complacent about who they have to please and who they are accountable to. And also I find that, you know, a lot of the good leadership in those particular unions has moved on and has either gone into the federations or have moved on to different opportunities, which means that there might be like a bit of a vacuum in terms of leadership at the moment. In particular in the mining industry, you know, in order to be given any access to members and to have members' fees paid through the payroll, a union must be what we call sufficiently representative of the employees in that workplace. And although there's no hard and fast rule of what constitutes sufficiently representative, it's roughly a third. Now you can imagine if you've got 10,000 employees in that bargaining unit, to secure a third of those members before you can get into the workplace is quite a challenge. So even though they might represent a significant number of individuals, that might mean that they're still not sufficiently representative, which means they don't get the foot in the door. And that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges at the moment with the newer unions. The difficulty with the Marikana situation is many of the mines have concluded wage agreements already that run into 1 or 2 years. And what happened at Marikana and what is happening in many of the other mining sectors is that those wage agreements, which are valid and binding and are actually not meant to be revisited, are now being revisited in the middle of the agreement. The danger of entertaining that is that you then send the message out that my agreement is not really a valid and binding and it's still open for discussion. And that, I think, could be a little bit risky for the mining industry. We learn a lesson every day from our past, and just because something worked for the last 10 or 20 years doesn't mean that it's necessarily the platform or the right profile going forward. And I think within the Labour Relations Act environment, the Labour Relations Act, I don't think, needs to be amended radically to address this, but I think that employers need to realize that they can't just rely on the old guard, that the old guard is now in the process of being challenged by some of the young guns, and those young guns represent a sufficient number of people, and the mine companies must be open to engaging with those individuals. Otherwise, their members are going to act out in the manner we've seen in Marikana. Also, I think the government needs to make sure that the rule of law gets upheld, because I think there's been too much of that being tolerated. People are being attacked, property is being damaged, people are being killed, and it seems that there might be very little consequence for the individuals perpetrating those. So I think government needs to step up and the police need to start enforcing the law of the land.